You know, the hardest thing right now is to come before you as a member of Congress and as a Republican and tell you to trust me. Because my party had the opportunity for that between 2000 and 2006 to do just what Mr. Morrow has suggested, and that's reduce the size of government and reduce taxes. But yet we grew government greater than we'd ever seen, and we raised taxes essentially more than we had in quite some time, and then in 2008 with the new administration it almost went on steroids. But all I can tell you is what I believe that we need to do. I have co-sponsored and actually filed a bill last year and then this year that would reduce the federal employment, because for every 3 that leave by way of attrition, we would only hire 1. The size of the federal government is out of control. We need to rein it back in. We don't need to be hiring people just because they're leaving. Lower taxes, if we don't do by tax reform, we're 80 years, an 80-year history of this country will show that regardless of the tax rate, whether it was under Eisenhower or whether it was 20-some% as it was 20 years ago, the average amount of revenue we would get in taxes to GDP was about 18%. 18% of our revenue would come regardless of the tax rate. Today, we're probably at about 15.5% of GDP, but we're spending at 23% of GDP. One of the things we will bring into the coffers of the United States government, according to the Congressional Budget Office's March estimate, $42 trillion in 10 years. That's $4.2 trillion a year. The greatest amount of money we've ever generated from tax revenue in the history of this country. It seems to me that we can operate within our means if that is what we're projecting. So people say we can't get along because we won't compromise. I disagree with that. I think we can all agree that if what we're going to bring in is $4.2 trillion, then let's deal with compromise as to what it is we're going to cut out of that $4.2 trillion. You know, we all agree that we're out of control. We're $17 trillion close to being in debt and exceeding our debt ceiling. The Farm Bill, for the first time ever, cut $20 billion of the SNAP program, which is the food stamp program. If we could have cut $20 billion 3 years ago when I was running for office, I'd be right there. I will be there again today. We need to make sure that we have a plan in place for my agricultural area here that's trying to fund citrus greening research, to make sure that we've got competitive markets that we compete with globally.
Sorry to interrupt you. Couldn't we separate these two?
I want to separate the two. Why? Because they wouldn't let us bring it to the vote. They wouldn't let us bring to the floor the bill to bifurcate between the Farm Bill and the SNAP program. And now I believe that's being considered at this point, because we've got to do something about Farm Bill. We've got to make sure that we have a relief program in there.
Who would elect you? I mean, aren't the Republicans the majority in the House? Who is it that wouldn't let you do this? I don't understand.
The Republicans. It's what they choose to do. It's what they choose to do.
The question is,
It's on.
okay. I just had a question because, I mean, we're bringing up immigration, and I know that the Senate has passed a bill. They sent it to Congress now. But what do you think, from your point of view, being in Congress, what kind of a bill are you guys planning on sending back to them? Do you think that what they sent you is going to get passed? Are you going to make changes? Are you going to draft your own bill and send it back to them? Or what do you think is going to come out of the House in terms of how that's going to look and how it would work? What is the House going to pass?
As I mentioned when we started off, we will probably not take up the Senate bill at all. We will take up, and already out of the Judiciary Committee, they've come out with they've passed out an enforcement bill, they've passed out a guest worker bill, and they're working on an expansion of the visa, expansion of visas bill. I believe that those will be the 3 components, along with any verified component that will come out of the House, be put together as one package and sent over to the Senate. If it's going to be done, look to have it done in the month of July before the August recess.
Good afternoon, Representative Ross. Thank you for hosting this town hall, and it's a pleasure to be here. Today I come up as a very concerned voter and an active citizen as the issue that has impacted me personally, which is immigration. I went through the whole immigration system. My family struggled. We know how hard it is with the current broken immigration system. And I just want to address some of the xenophobic things that have been said in this meeting. And I'm now working at a community center where every day I see kids that come from all over the world. And as a USF graduate and seeing all that those kids have to contribute someday to this country, just as I did when I arrived to these lands, it gets me really upset and mad to listen to, like, not understand the base. So why you said that you don't support a pathway to citizenship for 11 million, and that's creating a second-class citizenship I want that same opportunity that was granted to me to be granted to many more, just like your grandparents. This is a nation funded of immigrants, so we're tired of hearing all these things without valid reasons why you don't support certain things, and we're tired. We're just tired of seeing all these racist, blunt things being addressed to our community, which hurts, because we see the human cost every day, how families are separated, how we're taught at our churches, and our preachers, and everybody teaches us that we should be a good neighbor, and it says it, and we're not abiding by that. And I come to you not only as say, an immigrant and someone who has contributed to this country, but as someone of faith who's tired that what God is teaching me in the Bible, we're not practicing in this nation that I have so much high expectations for. So I want to hear it from you. You said you don't support a pathway for citizenship, but I want valid reasons, and I'm tired of it.
Your testimony is evidence why we need immigration reform. My grandparents came from Hungary and had an opportunity to migrate here and become citizens. Legally. But there exists today the same path to that citizenship for everybody. The reason that we have such a long line for people.
Can you shut up, please?
I know this is very emotional. And I am not running from this issue. I intend to be at the forefront of this issue, and I intend to do what I believe is absolutely appropriate for everybody. But in order to do so, we need to make sure we try to stay as civil as we possibly can. We all want the same thing at the end of the day. I understand that. But let me tell you something. What we first have to do is recognize the fact that we have had a system that has been broken for over 30 years. And in order to bring that into play, we've got to start strengthening our borders, allow for enforcement of laws, but more importantly, for those who want to be here like yourself, allow you the opportunity to earn that citizenship and be a productive member of society. It's the heritage of our country. It's how we created the great nation that we are because of our immigration system. Let us protect the sanctity of that heritage. Now, just because somebody has been here for an extended period of time, I don't believe gives automatic right to citizenship. I think that citizenship needs to be earned. And I believe, foremost, that if we can take away most of the people that are in line, that are here for economic reasons, mainly for job purposes or education purposes, and we're going to reduce the amount of people in that line. But I firmly believe that we have to address this issue. It is going to be very emotional. It's going to be very difficult. And if I had the right answer, I probably wouldn't be standing in front of you right now. I'd be out somewhere else trying to gather up a whole country to get behind me. I can only tell you that this is a conversation we must have. We have to work through this.
So if it's brought up to bill as it stands, and how the Senate voted, 68 members of Congress already voted for the bill as it stands, would you vote no?
I would not vote for the Senate bill as it is today.
The district is dependent on this bill, and as you know, agricultural workers who put food on our tables, who families been here over 20 years, it's very sad.
That's why I sponsored a guest worker program for the agricultural industry. I firmly believe that.
So once again, so you've created marginalized communities.
No, I disagree with that, but I respect your opinion on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I think somebody.
Gun control.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm going to, okay, I'm a staunch advocate of the Second Amendment. I firmly believe that if I could legislate a bill that says that everybody has to practice personal responsibility, you wouldn't even bring up gun control. But what are we supposed to do? That gun that's sitting there is not going to get up and shoot somebody. There has to be an act behind it that makes that happen. And how are we going to differentiate between somebody's good actions or bad actions? Look, I firmly believe that we have enough laws on the books. And that what we need to do is to make sure that people understand that my rights end where yours begin. Gun control is something that is very emotional too. I'm not a supporter of more increased gun control laws. I voluntarily put trigger locks on my guns because I believe it's most appropriate for me. I don't want the government telling me that I have to do that. And if they tell me that I can only use a 5-magazine clip, and the guy that breaks into my house and has a 10-magazine clip, maybe they'll charge him with that too. You know, I have a problem with that. In the meantime, I have to run though. Look, I look forward to coming back. Thank you for the opportunity. This reminds me of my relationship with my wife, and we'll be married for 30 consecutive years this August. We don't always get along, but we both agree that we need to make sure that we have common good. And that's our family, and this is our country. So thank you all very much.